I could see it here. You probably hear it now, but that's not the way to have it work. It looks like you're hearing it. I think everybody's hearing it. I think you're hearing it now. Yeah, everybody's hearing it now. This is unbelievable. So Dropbox decides a week ago, without telling anybody, to completely upgrade our Dropbox. Except, then tell us. And what they did was, because there wasn't room on this computer's local hard drive to hold everything, they moved Dropbox to another location where it could find room. So it went from the C drive, where it blew up, to the D drive, where it didn't blow up. This was a horror show. So every single one, literally every single one of the paths to every input across this entire computer was completely destroyed by our friends at Dropbox without asking. You can imagine how excited I was about that moment, and I apologize for the audio issue. I'm glad that it's solved. It's not properly solved. I just jury-rigged it. Again, another path issue. Brought to us by our good friends at Dropbox. I'm not sure how they felt it was okay to reach into my computer and change the drive letter locations, and then the path itself. Be one thing if you just map the drive over. These guys just put Dropbox in a completely different place. Horrifying in every way that you can imagine horrifying. Anyway, welcome everybody to Web3 Wednesday. We'll start over again. I'm Shelly Palmer. Here in the shadow of the Empire State Building in the middle of New York City, we're having the greatest day ever, right up until the time Dropbox scrooged all the tech. But I think we're in good shape. A lot of interesting things happened. Literally, a lot of interesting things happened in the last couple of weeks. I'm back. I was in Germany. Had a fantastic time, courtesy of our friends at Eintracht Frankfurt, which is an amazing football or soccer team, depending on who you are and what you like. Wow, European soccer fans are crazy awesome. Good morning from Studio City. David Goldsmith, welcome, and Marvin Mednick, welcome from San Jose. Such a good crowd now. Allen, Texas, amazing suburb of Dallas. John Schilberg, is that what that says? I think it's Schilberg. Yeah, my pronunciation probably not so good. Very happy. Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Thank you also for being here. Nice crowd today. Apparently some. Here's one. Here's a tweet. So we'll ask you. Please put your questions in chat, and of course, chat's where it's at. This is always about just chatting and talking. Here's a question for today. Listen to some of the podcast from this morning. Not my podcast. A Back from the Dead podcast. Should I be more worried or excited about deepfake technology? That is a great question. Here's the actual Back from the Dead post this morning that we put up, because we put up the Back from the Dead post. I actually have some audio. I'm hoping this is going to play for you guys. I really am. Let's see what happens when I ask this to play. Let's see if I can get it.
So without further ado, my friend who is difficult to describe and wonderful, and I'm so grateful he came on the show.
How's it going? Good to see you, buddy. It's been a long time since I've been on the show. I've missed this. It's always fun.
How's it going? Come on, tell me about Jobs.
That was a complete fake AI version of Steve Jobs and Joe Rogan. It's pretty convincing audio. I think it's pretty convincing audio. I was blown away by it. I mean, I don't know if you think this is cool or not, but I think it's unbelievably cool.
It's always good to see you, buddy.
Even the mic noise. I mean, that's just personally to me, that's absolutely insane. Just totally insane. Should you be more excited or worried? It literally changes the world. Was that good or bad? It's pretty damn good. Is it great? Could you tell? Yeah, no one told you that wasn't Steve Jobs. If someone said that was an earlier interview, I used technology like this in my keynote for CES back in January. And I brought Carl Sagan back to life through a different company's technology. This is a company called, I think they call themselves Play.ht. And they created this as a cultural, like a culture jacking stunt, and I think they did a pretty good job culture jacking, because they got everybody's attention, especially mine. Again, please ask your questions in chat. Totally happy to have this is an Ask Me Anything kind of Wednesday. We do have a Discord server, discord.gg/Shelly Palmer. Come on there and have these conversations there. And of course, we're always available. I'm always available at Shelly Palmer on Twitter. I would like you to make some fun of me today, or make some fun of that, or just, do a tweet, take a screenshot, do something. Let's get some Twitter noise going. It's always fun to have some Twitter noise. Really do appreciate the Twitter noise at Shelly Palmer. Oh, and we must remember that today, like any other day, any other Web3 Wednesday, today is POAP Day. You can get your POAP, your Proof of Attendance Protocol token, today, this moment, by just going to shellypalmer.com/POAP and asking for a POAP. What is a POAP? It's a Proof of Attendance Protocol token. Collect any 5 of them, and you will be invited to all kinds of interesting stuff that we do. CES is coming up in January, and we will have a special salon dinner and another special salon breakfast for our POAP holders. You'll get some access to some behind-the-scenes stuff that we're doing there. We also do stuff at Mobile World Congress, the Possible Conference coming up in April at the Fontainebleau in Miami. There's all kinds of great fun places to use the Engage to hang out free NFT version of your Shelly Palmer POAPs. So please, shellypalmer.com/POAP. That is a fun place for you to go and get cool stuff. It's also a way to, engage to earn, engage to learn, just learn the process. So anyway, moving on. Let's see. Other questions. Oh, I love this question. This is a question. Yeah, I'm not quite prepared to cover this way today, but let's cover it anyway. So this is a great question. Who's going to buy a $1,499 VR headset to do Excel spreadsheets in Zuck's metaverse? You're kinder than I am, and that's from Matt H. That's the Zuckerverse in its purest form. I don't want to beat up Mark Zuckerberg too bad. Let's see if I can put something on the screen from Meta. I think I can do this. Quickly go to the website and let's grab this just for fun. This is and we can just light it back up again. It's got a fun animation you just missed, so we'll put it back on. So this is their, it's a website. It's pretty cool. This is the Meta Quest Pro website. You can see it's $1,499. I watched the press conference. I'm sure a lot of you did too. They put a little bit of counterweight in the back, which is nice. Yeah, you can kind of see it's more like it's more like adding the extra fun toys to the old Oculus Quest 2. I don't know. Is this something we're going to do? I want to know right now. Tell me in chat. Who is going to do this? Not who's going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. A lot of people are going to buy it. People are going to buy this because you need to see it and understand it. The question is, are you going to do work this way? Are you going to literally do work this way? Are you excited to be part of something that looks like this in the normal course of your work? Do you imagine yourself using that more in any way? I don't know. It seems to me, and I'm just one guy, that there are use cases, very specific use cases that all of us have for the various interfaces that we love. So let's talk about that for a second. How many of you, and you can tell me in chat, have been to Ephesus in Turkey? I guess it's in the city of Kuşadası in Turkey. It's the lost city, not so lost because everyone knows where it is, of Ephesus. And there they have 3 amphitheaters that are buried in the ground. One of them, I believe, is unearthed, possibly 2 by now. A 7,000-seater, a 14,000-seater, and a 21,000-seater. Every single night, according to the historian that took me to these amphitheaters, everyone in the town was entitled to a seat. And there they would go and hear an oration or watch a tragedy or a comedy or a political debate. It was their version of television. amphitheater that I went to had concession stands and had bathrooms, indoor, basically the equivalent of indoor plumbing, so that for either 7,000, 14,000, or 21,000 people. The thing about it that makes it interesting to me is that it was in the fashion of a Greek proscenium stage, where there are conventions of theater, 3,500-year-old conventions of theater that haven't changed. We haven't changed physiologically in those 3,500 years, or evolutionarily as modern humans. And this idea of a suspension of disbelief when we are looking at someone in a play, or looking at someone on a movie screen, or looking at someone on a Broadway stage, or looking at someone on a television screen, we understand that for the quality of our own enjoyment, we will suspend the fact that we don't believe what we're saying. We need to just accept, okay, that's a person on a stage, but I'm going to immerse myself into the conventions of theater, movies, film, virtual reality, or virtual worlds, if it is in fact what you're trying to do. If it's what you're trying to do. But in practice, very few of us, while we are paying attention, and I mean very few of us, while we are paying attention, even to a live sporting event, if you are in the stands, it's about a 270-degree view at the widest, because that's like right at the edge of your peripheral vision. You can see a little bit behind you. You don't look behind you unless you hear a noise. And so this idea of being fully immersed in a three-dimensional world is a thing, but it's not a thing for most of the things we consume theatrically, or even as a spectator. And even when we're working, we don't tend to work in a 360-degree environment. Some people do, but most of us don't. So this idea that we're going to be sensory deprived, and what will happen instead is that this virtual world will occupy and or fulfill all of our sensory needs for the work that we're doing, that needs to be proven out, and there would need to be a use case that is mind-blowingly great for me to go, yeah, that's the killer app for virtual worlds or virtual reality. I can easily see, yes, definitely Alan Mostow with binaural sound. Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, binaural sound would match where your ears are. So they take a pair of glasses or binaural microphones, and the mics would be roughly here. To be fair, they should be here. And then you can, when that sound is recorded and played back to you in a stereoscopic field, a stereophonic field rather, you can determine where things are. Because it's the same way that you would range find with the distance between your ears and your natural ability to triangulate. So yeah, binaural sound for sure. But at the end of the day, I need to see that killer app, and I haven't seen it yet. Yes, for training, sure. Yes, for heart surgeons. Yes, for medical professionals. Yes, for car mechanics. Yes, for all of the trades where you use your hands, and it's really expensive to put together a simulator. Certainly for pilots. Yes. All things training, for sure. Is training entertaining? Can be. Is it edutainment? Yeah, maybe. But am I going to need to do this for work? What has always amazed everyone in the video business about video is that there are people who read so poorly or don't like to read or are so resistant to reading that they will, in fact, prefer to watch a video to get the information, even though it takes longer to watch a video than it does to grasp a paragraph on a page. Depending on what I am doing personally, and I don't like to use myself as a focus group of one, but I've asked almost everyone everywhere that I've ever had this conversation with, when do you read, when do you want to listen, and when do you want to see and listen? Sight, sound, and motion, just sight, just sound. What are your preferences? And while they're not my preferences, everyone seems to have them. Everyone seems to have them, where they prefer to consume information or entertainment or whatever their sensory inputs are. This is the bar that Oculus, Quest, and all of the virtual reality group has to get over. It's a much lower bar for augmented reality, where you're just enhancing or enriching the experience that I'm already having. That I don't see as any barrier whatsoever. I see that as the heads-up display in my car, helping me go from place to place. And yeah, if I had streaming data that made that work, a little bit better or enrich that experience, and not spam and not advertising and not things I don't want to see, but things that actually enhanced my experience while driving, made me either a safer driver or a better driver, changed my destination, helped me be where I am. Oh, you're entering New Milford, Connecticut, founded in whatever, home of whatever, famous for whatever. Okay, great. That, and I can have the ability to turn that on or off. And, if you make a left turn at the next corner, you too can see the Sherman tank on the village green that was given in World War whatever to whoever for whatever. Like, sure. I'll accept that as augmentation of the reality I'm in. Would I love to have a pair of augmented reality glasses at a trade show where I'm seeing people that I haven't seen in a year, and there's hundreds of people whose faces I recognize, but I just can't place the name? Would I love to see their LinkedIn bio pop up as they came up to me? And, Shelly, how are you? And I'm like, oh my God, person who I should know, think I know, do know, but cannot figure out who you are because I haven't seen you and I don't know how long. Yeah, I'd love that. Is that ever going to be legal? Are people ever going to dig that or want that? It's going to creep some people out to the point where someone's going to say, no, that can't happen. This is one of the most useful things you could ever have. And I probably won't be able to get that because of privacy laws. So everything less than helping me understand where I am, I don't need augmented reality glasses to look at my 49-inch monitors that are in front of me right now. I don't. I wish my glasses were slightly more in focus, but that's not going to change, to be fair and frank, without better optics. So, and of course I could, if I was 25 years younger, that'd be awesome also. So, the ravages of time notwithstanding, I don't see this as anything more than a root beer is to Coca-Cola. I just don't. That said, I don't want to in any way diminish Mark Zuckerberg's inventiveness, his willingness to invest in something new, to forge a new path, to do something that hasn't been done before. Because to tell you the truth, it's really easy from the cheap seats to poke a lot of fun at Mark and what I pejoratively and ribbingly call the Zuckerverse. Yeah. From where I'm sitting, it's all those things. This is a guy that's taking billions with an S of dollars every year, putting it on the table and saying, I'm searching for something new. If you don't applaud that, you don't really understand the world we live in. Anyone who has ever tried anything new and tried to sell it to a client, anyone who has ever tried anything new and tried to sell it to a family member or friend, knows just how vicious those with no vision and those with no imagination can be. And, there's an old adage that the only people that like change are babies in wet diapers. And unfortunately, that does ring true across the universe. So, yes, I don't think this is $1,500 well spent for most people. I think it is going to be very well spent for those who are seeking something new and trying to invent the future they want to live in. Do I have high hopes for this path? To be fair and frank, I do not have high hopes for this particular path. Do I have a better suggestion? Yes, I have several better suggestions. Let's work extremely hard on streaming data, augmentation of reality, and enhancement of reality to increase the quality of our enjoyment of the bridge between our physical and our digital world. If I was going to spend billions of dollars and an immense amount of time inventing the future, the first place I would start is understanding the physical world I live in, the volume and velocity of data that we're all creating by just living our daily lives. Then I would be working extremely hard to try and figure out how to bridge those two things in a way that was actionable, pleasant, and allowed for greater control, user control of an individual over domain and agency over their data, the way they have domain and agency over the physical world that they live in. To me, that makes a lot of sense. And what Mark Zuckerberg is doing doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I have to applaud it in every single way you can applaud what he's doing, because he's doing it. And that's the part that matters. Like, that's the part that really matters. So, yeah, just my own take on this subject. While we're on the subject of things that really matter, I hope that you will join us on TechStream. Seth Everett and I do a podcast. We drop it every Tuesday morning. It's there for your enjoyment. You can find it at Apple and Spotify and Google and any place you find your podcasts. It's called TechStream with Shelly Palmer and Seth Everett. And we cover pop culture and tech. And it's just really, really fun. And I hope that you will join us there. And while you're thinking about things to do, remember, you can get your POAP. ShellyPalmer.com/POAP. And if you collect enough of those, good things will happen. So a funny story last week, really funny story last week. I called it Ghosts in the Tesla. Elon Musk was doing his AI day, speaking of things AI, and his AI day included showing off a bipedal robot, a humanoid looking robot. I don't know if that really fully, totally qualifies as human or humanoid. But I loved it. I loved it for all of its Terminator scariness. I loved it for all of its iRobot. I don't know if many of you saw the movie iRobot with Will Smith. It was named like the book, but it had nothing to do with the book. The movie was, I think, fairly terrible, although I deeply loved the message. I didn't necessarily care for the movie. The movie's premise, unlike the book, is that there's one unique robot who's got some level of sentience, and we're trying to understand the 3 laws of robotics. And there's Elon Musk showing you a bipedal robot that can lift 1,000 pounds. They've built these actuators that are incredibly powerful, and you're going to have a robot that's capable of doing a lot of things for you in a factory, a lot of things for you on a construction site that you could not do for yourself. Could you use a forklift? Oh yeah, you could definitely use a forklift. Should you? When you can have a robot just pick the stuff up? That's really what Ghosts in the Tesla is about. The idea of ghosts in a machine. Are these sentient beings? Will they be treated that way? You remember a few months ago, Google fired one of their engineers for claiming that an AI model was sentient and had feelings and should have rights. And you got to ask yourself where you draw that line. Does your toaster have rights? Does your microwave have rights? Does your virtual assistant have rights? Because it's tricking you into believing it has some human patterns of speech, which is how it's designed and what it's trained to do. Does that make it have a thinking, feeling brain? Hard questions. Here's a hard question too. This is a good one. SEC investigation of Yuga Labs, Bored Apes, and their currency. Are they securities? The SEC is investigating that. That came out either yesterday or today. Thank you, Steve G. If the SEC determines they used Bored Apes as a stock certificate, and you were investing in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and they were raising money for the Bored Ape Yacht Club and giving you a Bored Ape as a certificate that proved your investment, then it's a security. The test is called the Howey test. Go Google it and determine for yourself if the offering at Bored Ape Yacht Club through Yuga Labs was a security that should have been registered with the SEC, or was it something else? NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are receipts. They represent the ownership of an asset. They were supposed to be transferring intellectual property rights to each of the Bored Apes. Now, we have covered this on a previous episode of Web3 Wednesday, but it's worth talking to again, Steve G. When I was given my Bored Ape for some number of ETH that I spent, to me were transferred the intellectual property rights of my Bored Ape, or so they said. But they really weren't. Why and how is this true? I want you to imagine, instead of a Bored Ape, I want you to imagine Mickey Mouse. Now, I want you to imagine Mickey Mouse with an earring and a cigar. Is that a new work, or is that a derivative work? Well, the answer is it's a derivative work under the current copyright law. So all you've done is put an earring on Mickey Mouse and given Mickey Mouse a cigar. But it's still Mickey Mouse. So the intellectual property is a derivative of the original work, which is copyrighted in America. The moment you finish drawing it, it's done. You can register it for more legal protection. You can put in Form PA if it's a performing art. There's a group of different kinds of forms you can fill out at the Copyright Office. But ultimately, the minute you finish it, it's your copyright. And the rules say that if somebody else were to add an earring and a cigar and a hat, it's still your work. Still your work. So how is it possible that a generative NFT project like Bored Apes could grant intellectual property rights for each ape to each buyer? Well, it can't, because there's about 10 original Bored Apes, and the other 9,990, or however many are in the set, I think it's 10,000 all in, are all derivative. Different background color, different skin covering, different outfit, different hat, different earring or piercings. These are not in any way different works. They're the same works. And so if the smart contract was set up so that every time a new person bought a Bored Ape that was a derivative of an original ape holder, that smart contract gave them a little piece as VIG for the derivative work, and now the two of them had separate works that were, and there was royalties being like, okay, but that's not what happened. Everybody was granted IP rights. So much so that when someone knocked off a Bored Ape a few weeks ago and Yuga Labs went to go and sue them, they actually couldn't sue on copyright. They had to sue on trademark infringement because they don't really have clear copyrights across the board. So now, add the complexity of the Howey test. Did they actually do all the things you need to do to prove that you're a security? It's going to be an interesting lawsuit. SEC is overreaching like crazy in the last few weeks. They really want to get a handle on this. They went after ETH pretty hard. They went after a bunch of different trades, and they've tried to put themselves. Gary Gensler's tried to put himself in the middle of all of this. He's done a fairly good job. I think it's, no offense to Gary Gensler, not meaning to call him out, but I'm calling him out. I think it's more about Gary Gensler looking to be in the conversation every week than it has to do at all with reality, because you got a lot of government agencies that are all vying for who's going to control this. But control it they will. One last thing while we're on the subject of Bored Apes, and this is my favorite slide. You guys know this is my favorite slide. If you're thinking NFTs, one of these is not an NFT. Do you know which one is not an NFT? If you do, put it in chat. What's not an NFT on this slide? But I'll give you a hint. One of them is a JPEG. Just that simple. All right, let's have a quick look. We have another question. Bank. Let's see what this question actually is. This is from Dave C. This one might be hard for you to read, so I'll read it. It says, Bank of New York Mellon will now allow cryptocurrency storage, transfer, and conversion. Considering that Bank of New York Mellon is this country's banking backbone, I didn't know that, how soon will the other banks follow? I can't answer that for the other banks. I can't answer that at any level, but what I will tell you is that every government that has a central bank is working on their own CBDC, central bank digital currency, and our own government is thinking deeply about how to regulate stablecoins. In order to do all of this, or when that is done, when there is a CBDC, a central bank digital currency that is dollar for dollar a US dollar, a digital dollar for all intents and purposes, or an e-dollar, I think I've seen it called, and there are government-backed or government-regulated stablecoins, a stablecoin that would be pegged to some asset, like a US dollar, like gold, like some thing that has an otherwise verifiable value. At that moment, we are going to see a very different world. Not a crypto world I'm going to want to be in, because I don't see the difference between a digital dollar, CBDC, cryptocurrency dollar, and the dollars I use now that are just digital dollars in my bank account. I get paid from a client. I don't actually ever see the money. I see numbers on in a web browser from a database. I'm told that the money has been transferred from my client's account to my account, either via wire or ACH or SWIFT or some other way that they were able to move the money from one bank to the other. But it's all digital, and it's just represented by the numbers on out of that database that I'm seeing on a website. So what's the value of a cryptocurrency to me? If it's a US government cryptocurrency, that'd be zero. There's no value. What's the utility of it? None. Over and above MasterCard and Visa and American Express? A debit card? The only thing about it that would be really, really, really useful is if it were to replace some of the very antiquated letter of credit and escrow systems that are used in foreign trade, where you're in a trustless environment and even the bank is trustless to you. Like, you just don't know if that foreign bank is going to do the thing you need it to do. Many of the banks that we work with, especially commercial banks, are now global to the point where it's just not an issue anymore. So I really feel like this is a solution without a problem. I just don't see it. I think there is just no value to government-issued crypto. You should all, by the way, go read the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. It was written 2008, 2009. No one knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. We've been over this. But if you haven't read the white paper, just type in Bitcoin white paper and read the first couple pages of it. It's not very technical. It's in direct reaction to the housing crisis of 2008. And it's like, hey, I don't want to be part of this financial system. I want to build my own financial system. So that renegade, highly individualistic, I can go transact business in the world without the rule of law because the system imposes its own rule of law, without regulation because the system imposes its own regulation. I can do business with people I don't know or trust because the system is set up to protect me when I deal with people I don't know and trust. That's the spirit of decentralized tools. That's the spirit of cryptocurrency. There is nothing about a United States stablecoin or a United States central bank digital currency that does any of that. So is there a war coming between real crypto people? I'm making that up. I don't know what a real crypto person is, but between, in quotes, air quotes, real crypto people and government crypto people? Probably. Is Monero the way that works out? Is it going to be the privacy coins versus the government-backed securities? That's really it's a big and important and serious question. To that end, just a week or so ago, the government put out, maybe 2 weeks ago, I might have been off while this happened, the framework for crypto regulation from the Biden administration. You can find that at shellypalmer.com. It's a government fact sheet. White House releases first ever comprehensive framework for responsible development of digital assets is the name of that. You can find it at whitehouse.gov also. So the United States government is thinking it has now queried a bunch of agencies internally, and it feels like it knows how this should go. Scary. That's really scary to me. That is really scary to me. Don't forget your POAP, because we're talking POAP, so don't forget your POAP. Don't forget at shellypalmer.com. We need you to do a little tweeting. Tweeting is good. We like tweeting. How many of you saw the Warbot Pledge from all the robotics manufacturers a couple of weeks ago? This one caught me off guard. They all pledged that they would not participate in, this is, I guess, right after Elon showed off his bipedal robot. They all said that they would not in any way participate in building weapons of war, robotic weapons of war. My question is, what's the line? Is a guided missile not a robot? I mean, yeah, it is. Does it need to be fully independent? Okay. How about the 50 caliber sniper rifles mounted to the quadrupedal robots that use AI to adjust for windage and elevation when they are taking a shot down and they want to put a bullet through something downrange? Is that okay? But what about a swarm of Stinger drones that are no bigger than your fist, and they fly in a swarm, and each one has one charge that's lethal to you when they hit you in the back of the head with it, or wherever they would hit you with it. And they call them Stinger drones because they only have one shot, but they go in a swarm, so there's a lot of shots in the one shot. Are they robots? Are we not going to do that? Like, what are they not going to do? And by the way, if these companies say they're not going to do it, are there companies that would do it? Are these the only people in the world who can create these kinds of things? Why did they feel they need to do it now? And what is the pressing conversation? What is a robot? Is it the combination of autonomy and machinery that gives a machine some agency and superhuman strength? Robot-assisted exoskeleton, AI-assisted exoskeleton. Does that qualify? Don't know the answer. Little Tony Stark Iron Man outfit? I don't know. I was stunned by this. I was sorry they felt they had to do it. I mean, really sorry that they felt they had to do it, because it just scared me to death that they feel we could be getting there. I have a book, Blockchain, which is not the point of this slide. The point of this slide is, if you want to know about blockchain, you go to shellypower.com/blockchain, the giant resource page there, and a big database and all kinds of stuff you will need to use. Of course, you can also go over to medacademy.com and learn about everything that we talk about here with respect to cryptocurrency and Web3. Big story in the news was Decentraland and the Sandbox had a frighteningly low number of participants. So there was a tweet. Let me see if I don't read you the tweet directly. I don't want to paraphrase it. If I could possibly just read it to you. The tweet was from @OXShake, and the tweet was, Decentraland, Mana has 30 daily active users and a $1.2 billion market cap. That's the tweet. And of course, all of the virtual world people, Decentraland and Sandbox, came back and said, "You're not reading it right. Those are people who interacted with our cryptocurrency." It's like, you have a virtual world like Roblox with 20, 30 million people a day in it. Here you have a virtual world that requires a crypto wallet like Decentraland, and the main driver of their commerce is their cryptocurrency and the value exchange and of selling and buying land and things inside the virtual world. And out of all the people that are there, and they said there were 50 some odd thousand people there that day, not 30, only 30 of them chose to interact economically with the virtual world. That's not a robust ecosystem. So what's going on here? Well, some of it's crypto winter for sure. There's no question that some of this is crypto winter. But some of this is something else, right? What else could it be? Well, a lot of things. One, we've already lived through, on more than one occasion, we have lived through virtual worlds. We lived through Second Life. We lived through Fortnite, and we're into Roblox right now. And Mark Zuckerberg has the Zuckerverse, and we've got lots of places you can go to hang out in a virtual world. What's missing are the get-rich-quick people. They're gone. Crickets. Headed for the hills. All the crypto millionaires who didn't understand one thing about crypto became crypto thousandaires or worse, and they decided this was not for them. I had an interview yesterday with a reporter from The Grid, and he told me something his sister said to him. Ben Frummer is his name. He's a very, very good reporter at Grid. And he said his sister, a couple of weeks ago, was at a family gathering, and she said to him, "Hey, have you heard about the new Bitcoin Cardano. There are so many things wrong with that whole phrase. Have you heard about the new Bitcoin? No, Bitcoin is not synonymous for cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. And Cardano is a foundation, and ADA is their currency. But in her mind, as is the mind of most in the public who are not involved in crypto every day, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are synonymous. The term altcoin is meaningless. Cardano or ADA are interchangeable. The foundation and its utility, and its blockchain and its utility currency, all interchangeable. We're an industry filled with nonsense words and jargon. It reminded me deeply, super deeply. 1999, I'm at a cocktail party with some very, very, very smart people, finance people and lawyers in Midtown Manhattan in a penthouse apartment. And when I was talking about a specific website, the person standing in the group I was speaking with said, "Oh, can I get that on Netscape?" As if the website was a channel inside of Netscape, the way that keywords were channels inside of AOL or channels of television. Completely misunderstanding that websites were independent and browsers were ways that you could access. I mean, no understanding of the technology. That wouldn't happen today under any circumstances. I mean, that's kind of a joke, but did you hear about the new Bitcoin, Cardano? Says everything you need to understand about why this is not jumping off the page at everybody. And you add the fact that everything's down 50 to 60%. A lot of the riffraff has been cleared out. Who's left? All of us who are thinking about creation of value, exchange of value, method of account, and new ways to create new businesses that let users and creators share in the value they create. That's what's new. That's what's happening. That's what's cool. Are virtual worlds cool? Don't know. Is Mark Zuckerberg right? Don't know. Don't know. I won't count them out, but I don't know. Very last thing. Our good friend and savior, I'm making this up, it's totally a joke, Kim Kardashian got sued by the SEC. She settled. This was a big lawsuit. $1.2 million was the fine. It was specific because this, I don't know if you can read it, but this particular thing starts with, "I don't give financial advice, but my friends who are into crypto," like, it is in bold. The disclaimer is in gigantic bold letters. That's not what she got sued by the SEC for. That's not what she was charged with. She was charged with not disclosing that she was paid $260,000 to do the post. Anyone who knows Kim Kardashian knows she makes a living doing posts, but the SEC was not amused, and I think Kim's lawyers smartly just settled rather than get into it. So Bob Sopko says, metaverse in the hype area, blockchain at delusional stage. Yeah, metaverse is undefined. Virtual worlds, definitely in the hype area. Metaverse is a word that absolutely means nothing. It has no meaning. And maybe to, Neil Stephenson, it has some meaning, but to the rest of us, it'll mean anything. Maybe one day it will. At the moment, everyone confuses it with virtual worlds and Web3, and I don't know what that means either. But I do know that if you want to explore what all that's going to mean, you do it right here on Web3 Wednesday with me, Shelly Palmer. I love hanging out with you guys. This is like always my favorite time. There's so many more things I want to cover. Every week I tell you flat out, our friends in the Ukraine are still just under attack every day. And this is a real safe site, shellypalmer.com/Ukraine, where you can send some money if you can find it in your heart to do so to help out some people who are desperately, desperately in need of your help. With that, I will thank you all very, very much for being here. This is, again, awesome for me, and I appreciate everybody's questions. You can always find me at Shelly at shellypalmer.com. I would happily answer your emails. Whatever questions you may have, I'm always available for you. Don't forget your POAP, and we will see you next week. Take care, everybody.